So welcome to the Recovery Dharma Global Annual Meeting. Thank you all for being here. Let's start by just taking and settling into the space. Welcome, friends. So we're gathered here today for our annual meeting. Recovery Dharma Global, a nonprofit organization that exists to protect and promote the Recovery Dharma community, and it's over 700 meetings. That's right, there are now 700 Recovery Dharma meetings worldwide. I want to start by introducing our board members who are here today, and I'm just going to ask them to raise their hand as I say their name. First, we have Chris from Indiana. Chris. Amanda from Oregon. Joel from Massachusetts. Lacey from New York. Vanessa from Illinois. Unsung from Virginia. Sinyi from Canada. Toronto, Canada. And Scott from Florida. And I'm Randy from Alabama. I might have forgot to say that. I also want to take a minute and recognize our newly elected board of directors. Some of them are here with us today, and some of them, I believe, are on Zoom with us. I'm going to start with Sherry from Ohio. Thomas from California. Natalia from Colorado. And then hopefully online we have Shad from Alabama. Josh from Idaho. Lauren from Maryland. Jeanette from Oregon. Valentine from California. And Tracy from Australia. Thank you to all the board members and the board members-elect for your service and generosity over the last year. Today's agenda is as follows. We're going to start with a reading of our diversity and heritage statement, followed by committee reports from the board, followed by a time for community proposals from our members. During this time, any member is free to make a proposal from the floor by either lining up over to the side here and having an opportunity to speak, or by posting their proposal into the chat and having it read on Zoom. We'll try to get to as many of those as possible. To the extent we have additional time, we'll also have a time for question and answers where you can ask the board whatever you like. So that's basically how it's going to work today. I'm now going to turn it over to Unsung, who is going to read our diversity and heritage statement.
Hi, everybody. Before I read the statement, I want to bow to you, and if you feel inclined, we can bow to each other. For your effort, however far you traveled, for your intention in manifesting it and being here. May you be happy, may you be at ease, may you be free of suffering. And I bow to all of you who made the effort to be here, online as well. Here is the diversity and heritage statement. We dedicate this annual meeting to the South Asian and Asian ancestors who protected and freely offer the Buddhist teachings to all. Buddhism originated in India and later flourished in other regions of Asia, including South Asia, East Asia, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, and others. We express deep gratitude to the cultural heritage that our program is founded on. We recognize and appreciate that many of our meetings are held on ancestral indigenous ground that were never ceded. We honor those who have committed to the ongoing stewardship of this land. Likewise, we honor the communities of Black, Indigenous, and people of color, recognizing the systemic oppression and marginalization that members of these communities may have experienced in the world and in recovery spaces. We dedicate our practice to fostering collective healing and liberation from all oppressions, the tormenting cycle of addiction and suffering as one human race. We wholeheartedly embrace all those who wish to pursue recovery as part of our community, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, age, disability, or nationality. With all the joy and sadness, skillfulness and imperfection, striving and resting, grasping and letting go that arise on this path of healing and growth, we honor all those who have walked the grateful road of recovery in the past, present, and those who will carry on this practice in the future.
Thank you, Unsung. We will now begin the committee reports section of the meeting. I'm going to ask Scott to serve as the timekeeper during this time. Each report should be a maximum of 3 minutes long. Scott, if you could signal at 2 minutes and 1 minute, I would appreciate it. Okay, we're going to have a PowerPoint that goes along with these presentations. It's going to be shared on the screen in just one moment. The first committee will be the Executive Committee. The Executive Committee is in charge of overseeing our board meetings and various committees of the board, basically assisting them. This year, the Executive Committee had a very busy year, assisting with the Nominations and Elections Committee, establishing the Fundraising Committee, as well as an Outreach Committee that's dedicated to reaching out to treatment centers, hospitals, correctional institutions. One of the major things that we also did this year is we were involved in our first lawsuit. We were not a party to the lawsuit. We were just subpoenaed to provide some documents and testify. And what had happened is a pilot had been fired by his employer, United Airlines. And in order to get his job back, he needed to attend recovery meetings. He wanted to attend recovery Dharma meetings, but they have a policy that you could only attend AA, so he sued them. We were called to testify as to the efficacy of our recovery program. So obviously the aim of the United Airlines lawyers was to sort of prove that we were a joke of an organization and not capable of helping people recover. But what ended up happening is the pilot won his suit, and he prevailed. And the court issued an order stating that it would be unconstitutional for any employer or government agency to require a participant in those types of programs to attend only one type of program. So that's a victory not only for Recovery Dharma, but for all pathways of recovery that are out there. So. Okay, and with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sinyi with the Finance Committee.
Hi, I'm Sinyi. I'm the treasurer, and so those will be up later for your reading pleasure. But if you go forward one more slide, I'll just, up 2 slides maybe? Oh, can you move back up one more? Yeah. So finance, we administer and report on the financial resources of the organization. So this year we've done a lot. So you'll see that at the At this year's summit, we have a merch table in the back, and finance had a part to play in figuring out how do we price these out, how much can we order, and so that was fun. We also are working together with fund development to better understand who our donors are, sending out those emails to make sure we build and maintain those relationships with our very valued donors and volunteers, so donors of time that we have in this room, keeping Recovery Dharma going, alive, proliferating, growing. We also do ad hoc analysis and just overall look at the spending as it's coming in, the revenues as they're coming in, and help. We don't file the tax return, but we do have a part in making sure that what goes out the door is right. So next year we'll be looking for volunteers for the finance committee because my term's coming up. So anyone in the audience or online who's interested in getting involved from that aspect, you're welcome to come to a finance committee meeting. So reach out afterwards, and or there's a volunteer form that was on the slides here. So recoverydharma.org/volunteer. That's how you get involved. We'll support the 2024 conference. We are looking to see if we can get donations accepted directly, which might cut on some costs. But yeah, lots of fun and interesting, if you're into finance, fun and interesting projects on the horizon. So the next slide is for in general, if you want to know how we're doing so far in this half year. We're doing better than last year by a significant margin, and you can see that dotted line, that's the monthly inflows. There was that big peak in February from our first online retreat that the events committee put on, so that is amazing. We have a healthy and steady flow of books, and our second edition, I'm sure, will keep that going. And we have continued support from individuals and Sanghas. After delving into the donations, been seeing lots of donations come in from Sanghas, and that's a beautiful thing to know that we're supporting them and they're supporting us. The next slide is the expenditures, and so far so good. I see no concern. I've been looking at these numbers, and we are well within our 2023 budget. Some of the lines to call out that are very exciting is how we've grown the accessibility line there. So more book grants, more scholarships, and we're able to get the program of Recovery Dharma out there more and more. So thank you.
Hi, my name's Amanda. Hi, Ben. I'm your chair of the governance committee. And if you think finance is hot and sexy, wait till you hear about governance. We do the kind of everyday nuts and bolt work of running the organization. It's a lot of legal stuff. And our primary thing that we've worked on over the course of the last 4 years, including this last year, is the bylaws. So when we came on, we had kind of a cut and paste set of bylaws that the interim board had put together. And the committee, which originally was myself, Kara, and Joel, drafted Recovery Dharma's first bylaws. And of course, we're never happy with what we do, right? So we've been tinkering with them ever since. Joel and I are both going off the board this year, and Randy has been the third board member on the governance committee. The president of the board always serves as a member of the governance committee. And Chris is also going off this year, and so we really wanted to make sure that we could leave the board with the best bylaws we could. That's been where the bulk of our energy has been, and we just passed amendments to the bylaws at the July board meeting. So we're all set to go off the board and let go of it, supposedly. I just I want to say that our work going forward is to help do policies and procedures, both for the board as a whole and for individual committees. One of the ones that's on deck is to draft a procurement and contracting policy and procedure so that we make sure that our principles that we hold dear and our core values in Recovery Dharma, especially as they relate to equity, are carried through when we do contracting and when we do procurement in a way that is just. I also wanted to, just as I'm going off the board, talk a little bit about my view of the governance committee and why it's important. And I want to encourage anyone who may be interested to volunteer to be on this committee. We don't only need board members, we need volunteers. Ben from Chicago has been been a really valuable part of our Sangha in the governance committee. He sadly had to go off, and now we are sans volunteers. So you're losing 3 board members who make up the board on this, make up this committee, and our volunteers just left. So anybody who's interested in this, please contact me anytime of this weekend. I'm happy to answer questions, tell you what we do. But really, this is about the process, and all of our work is about the process. Recovery Dharma is about the process, not the outcome of recovery. And so the work of the governance committee is really about keeping our integrity as an organization around who are we, how do we do things, and not letting the ends justify the means, not taking shortcuts, but making sure that our processes are integral and in consistent alignment with our core values. Thank you.
This is too tall. Oh, okay. Okay. Hi, this is Vanessa. I am the chair of the IDEA committee. It's short for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, and Accessibility. We've had a really busy year. We were working on a lot of things. We increased our book grant budget to $3,000 this year. Okay. This year we granted 269 books. Last year we granted 285 books, and we plan to keep it going. We've been a part of the summit scholarship. This summit along, we was able to sponsor 4 total scholarship rides for people to come, including travel and lodge. And we were able to grant a couple of registration tickets. And we've helped plan out the summit programming to make sure it is inclusive and representative. We've organize some targeted funding in order to make the scholarship happen, to fund people. Thank you, Scott. And we launched the IDEA website. You can see that on our website. And we created the diversity and heritage statement that Aung San beautifully read. We've implemented some IDEA board training on the board, and we will plan to have more IDEA consultant going forward. We have the IDEA survey that has been sent out before, trying to hear from the community how can we increase representation. We worked on the 2nd edition book that Lacey really worked on so hard, and making sure that the language is inclusive and representative. We had the IDEA town hall back in March, and we responded to some community motions. Future project, our keynote speaker, Kate Johnson, tomorrow will be our ongoing IDEA consultant. We plan to cultivate more literature, book grant, more scholarship for the summit, more targeted fundraising, and we really want to focus on outreach so we can reach to more communities. If you're interested in IDEA and you would like to volunteer and help us out with all the wonderful projects we have, you can fill out the volunteer application form on the website.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lacey. I am the chair of the Communications Committee. So some of our committees are more inward-facing, like governance and finance, and then some of our committees are outward-facing, like events and communications. So communications, we just finished the 2nd edition, just in time for the... And that includes 14 personal recovery stories from people all over our global Sangha with different addictions, different addictions to different things, different life experiences. I think it shows the great breadth of our diversity, which really makes us who we are. And we're going to have the Spanish edition out this month as well. And I want to thank the Spanish Language Translation Committee for that, because I know that was a lot of months of hard work, as well as the people who helped edit the 1st edition into the 2nd edition. Ideas help for supplementing with language, some of the new inclusive language, and of course all the people who offered their stories to the book. We're all very grateful. What else? Merch. We have the merch in the back. That's also us. I'm drinking from my Recovery Dharma mug over there. Obviously, all of that helps support our organization, which then in turn helps people suffering from addiction around the world. So wear it with pride. What else? Anything else? Oh, it's up there. Okay, see, it's ironic, communications, right? We do all the social media that you see. It's huge. Communication is honestly really huge. It could get bigger and bigger. It just requires more brains and hands. Stefan, who's here and helps us with our promotional videos. Thank you, Stefan. And we support all of the big initiatives like the elections, the summit. So we create the art for it. We make the social posts, all of that. And we also have an IT wing that runs our websites and we're going to have a new meeting list next month. Within a month, okay? It's been a long, hard road to have a nicer, more friendly meeting list experience. But that's coming very soon. And so I don't know how much time I have left. Okay, so if you're interested, if you're creative, if you like to make artwork, if you like to, if you're good at social media, if you're good at building websites, WordPress specifically, please see me after the meeting. I am also leaving the board, so we're going to be looking for new creative brains. Thank you all.
Hey everyone, my name is Joel Osterman. I'm from Medford, Massachusetts. My pronouns are he and him. I'm the chair of the events committee, which is why we're all here today. In addition to the summit, we also help organize all of the town halls. We threw our first retreat this last February that was online, which helped raise a ton of money for the organization, that we're able to do many different things and support our program. We're probably going to be doing that again. We're thinking about another event in the fall that's online. And really just to come back to the summit, this whole process has been 2 years in the making. And so all of just so many hours from so many people. I think we've got 12 people on the committee this year. This may not be the appropriate time, but I just want to thank all of them for that. And so I will also be going off the board, but I will be around to assist. So looking forward to the next year, really just hunkering down in the fall, looking at 2024 summit, looking at 2025. And so if anyone is interested, please come talk to me about joining the committee. It's a lot of fun. You get to meet a lot of people. I think there's 160 people registered here, and I hope to be able to meet all of you. So thank you.
Hey, how you doing? I am the last committee report, so woo! All right. My name is Chris Railing. I'm from Indianapolis. I've been on the board for a few years. This is my last year going off. Excited about everything. Board development is the care and feeding of board members. So we offer the trainings. We do all the way from recruitment and a connection of board members and volunteers to the application process. That's our committee who does that, to making sure that everybody gets onboarded, ongoing training, and then assessing for the volunteers. So first of all, I want everyone who participated in the election this year, and we have such a great next board, so give everybody a hand. On the not really hard to make all that happen. Thank you. With the other things that we're working on is to collect and make sure that we have a new database. So this database is going to help us organize volunteers. It's going to help us provide a membership form for at least individuals, but hopefully also groups. It's also going to help us organize and make sure that people get through the volunteer process so that when that application goes in, that it kind of gets sent to somebody and kind of gets sent down the road. So if you know anything about databases, please give us a call. We definitely have some amateur skills, but we can always use some more hands, and creativity. And then the other piece is training. So we have this past year, we worked really hard to make sure we did onboarding for all of the new board members. They've been coming and sitting in on the board meetings. We've been having like every other week or so, we sit down for an hour and talk about all the different policies. And so that's been a real gift after the way that Recovery Dharma started, kind of just, hey kids, let's put on a show, it's nice to have, we have some processes now, and processes that are expansive and give us time for full consideration, full pause, fully informed status. So that's been really wonderful. This next year, as Vanessa was saying, we're going to support IDEA and the rest of the board as they really look into making sure and ensuring that we all have the skills to include and make sure that our board, our organization, and our community is the most skillful that it can be when it comes to accessibility, inclusion, and diversity. And so that's what we're going to work on for the next year. Thanks. Ooh, I missed the bell.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you to all of the committee chairs who just gave reports. We're now going to move on to the community proposals section of the board meeting. To the extent that you are in the room and you would like to make a proposal for the board to do something, or I guess to stop doing something, would you please line up over here along the wall, and Chris will have a microphone and be able to provide you with that. You will have a limit of 3 minutes to make your proposal, and then the board will have 3 minutes to respond to your proposal. If you are online and you would like to make a proposal, you can type that proposal into the chat. There will be time for questions and answers as well. So this is really time specifically for a motion to be made versus a question about one of the reports or one of the, what does this committee do versus that committee.
Hello. I do have a follow-up question from one of the things.
Okay. Do we have any?
Hopefully it's really easy.
Okay.
So what was the total amount of scholarship monies given out for this summit?
I'm going to defer to Sinyi for that amount. Sinyi, can you ballpark that?
5,000.
It's hard because it's like in kind plus the cash, right? I would say it's ballpark like
2,000 to 3,000.
And the criteria was
That was for the book grants, right? For the summit scholarships. Okay.
and the criteria for the scholarships, or is that something that's a little more involved?
The criteria for the scholarships can be found on the website, recoverydharma.org. That article should still be up, discussing the various criteria that you would have to meet, coming from an underrepresented group, and the various questions that you would have had to answer in order to apply. Okay. So do we have any proposals from anyone in the room? Do we have any proposals from anyone online? Okay, well, we will then move on to the question and answer portion of, this could be the world's fastest annual meeting, ladies and gentlemen, which is, I think everybody's in favor of. But also, I think it's a good sign. I think it's a sign that as a board, we are doing our absolute best to be responsive to the community to the extent you have questions, putting the information on the website, being available to talk to members of the community, being as transparent as we possibly can with our minutes, with our board reports, with our finances, all of which are available on the website. If you scroll down to the bottom, you can read all the board meeting minutes going back to the beginning of the board, all the committee reports, see every financial disclosure down to like the transactions. So all of that is available.
recoverydharma.org/about.
Thank you. Okay, so we will move beyond proposals to just regular questions and answers. This is where you could ask any question you would like to ask about the board or about Recovery Dharma Global in general. The time limit for this is 1 minute. And I will either I or whoever I defer to, because oftentimes the committee chairs are better versed in how to respond than I would be. So any questions from the floor? Any questions in the chat?
I have a hand, but the person who has a hand, if you could type it into the chat.
Right, we do not have the ability to unmute people in Zoom, but we will give you a moment to type your questions.
Thank you.
Unsung has a question.
This is more like a call out. So when we were at the other fellowship, we had a stronger regional presence. So anyone from the Southeast, and you can self-organize, but I represent the Southeast Sangha along with this Sangha. But if people in the Southeast would like to have a Recovery Dharma regional presence, let's get together and talk, and so we can plan something, and maybe even a retreat or our Southeast Regional Conference. It would be great to have a strong presence of a Recovery Dharma in the Southeast. Buddha knows that we need to support one another in the South.
Thank you, Unsung. Yes. And
we have a question about the court case. What court made the decision to validate RD as a valid recovery? Was it a state or a high court?
it was a consent decree that was entered. It was a case that was filed before the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and we were subpoenaed to give testimony in the case, and the outcome of the case was favorable to the employee. And in the consent order, that language was provided, stating that it would be unconstitutional to limit an employee's choice to a single recovery organization that required belief in a higher power. So since that decision, we've been receiving many requests for information, education, resources from government agencies, from employers from around the country. They're really doing a good job of trying to educate themselves so that they can provide those alternatives to their employees. They also don't want to get sued, right? So they're doing their absolute best. To do that, I just had a call this week with the New York City State Licensure Board for all health-related organizations, and I'm going to talk to their committee at the annual meeting. And I expect this to continue, especially as the organization continues to grow, as we cultivate the seeds and spread them about the country and the world, and the meetings continue to grow and grow larger and stronger and more in number. It's natural that people are going to demand access to our program, to other programs, especially people who have felt traumatized or abandoned by those other rooms. And it's a beautiful thing to have choices. I think for every unique individual, there's a unique path of recovery. It is not a one-size-fits-all. And it's a beautiful thing that we can all be here today to celebrate those types of alternatives. Yes.
Hi, I'm Kent. I'm from Philadelphia. It's great to have everybody here. Welcome, everybody. And thank you for everybody who worked so hard to make it happen. I am a 33-year AA guy who has been thrilled to come into Recovery Dharma in the last some amount of time, 2 years. And I'm a Unitarian Universalist minister and a therapist. And I'm telling my colleagues and people that I work with about this as an option. And I was just wondering, I'm sorry if this is elsewhere in the program or the literature, but could someone just say whatever level of detail the origin story of this wonderful organization? Because I'm like, where did this start? This is awesome, man.
So the story is in the book, a little bit if you look at it.
I got busted.
Especially if you look in the new edition of the book with those wonderful personal stories. There are members that talk about, what happened in 2019. There was a difference of opinion as to the vision of the future of the other organization. And in many ways, I think it was a harmonious, and I'm glad for what happened. And I wish nothing but the best for the other organization, because we really are the same tea in different cups, but it's basically the same cup. So at the end of the day, all we care about is that people get better. We don't care how they get better. We just want them to find places that are safe and supportive, where they can be vulnerable and they can be authentic. And that's all that matters. So what we're building right now here, this movement, Recovery Dharma, it's a beautiful thing, and it's helping. It saved my life. It's helped so many people. That's why we're all here this weekend celebrating this thing. So I'm more concerned about the present than the past, but it's all there in the book or a Google away.
Hi, this is Ann from Iowa, and I am so happy to hear about the outcome of this court case. And the question I have is, how do we, because so many of our meetings are online and we can't sign someone's card, and I have had requests for submitting proof that someone attended a meeting. Will there be a standard form or a standard procedure to make sure that those people who attend can be? Thank you.
So I want to say that on our website, there is a news article that we published where we set forth the language stating that we highly recommend and suggest that Sanghas sign attendance verification forms for drug courts, for employers. Meetings, though, as we've always intended, are autonomous, and they can make decisions for their local groups as to whether or not to sign those sheets. But we highly encourage people to do so to the extent that the program is accessible to people, that they can get the verification that they need. That assists them, and it helps us cultivate new members. And to the extent that you want to see that language, it is available on the website. For online meetings, they can just simply send you a direct message, or at the end of the meeting, ask for your information. To the extent that you're not comfortable giving it, of course, we cannot require, nor would we require anyone to do that. And I think local groups can make their own determinations as to that. I know in Birmingham, where I'm from, we sign them at the end of every meeting, and we don't impose standards on everyone, because that's the board. There is no hierarchy, right? The board is not telling the Sanghas what to do. Instead, just trying to assist and provide resources and support.
Hey, I'm sorry, Chris from New Jersey. Thank all of you for all of the work you've done to pull this together. But I'm just kind of like a little surprised there's no prior legal precedent with the issue that employee faced. I just am like, because it was a thing with AA, like, we don't want to get involved in anything else, let alone signing statements for the government. So I was like, that was new territory.
Okay.
I will say that one of the things that we've been doing is we've been attending some conferences. One of them is called Multiple Pathways to Recovery. And there are multiple organizations like us, as you were saying, that are alternatives to AA. But I think that's an overall thing that's emerging right now. It's a historical moment that we're in the United States.
So I just want, so when you asked about legal precedent, I assumed that you were going to be asking kind of the question that Chris answered, which was about being referred to AA instead of other programs. But that's not the question you answered. The question you asked was about signing slips. So I would just, yep.
There's nothing in the legal, like all of the United States, legal precedent about something?
So I'm a lawyer, and I will just say, and I'm on the chair of the governance committee, that there are hundreds and hundreds of legal precedents in the country that speak to the issue of courts ordering people to go to AA. Whether those precedents are precedential, right? So whether they actually have impact in any individual case or jurisdiction is a matter of where that case is located, whether or not those opinions were published, whether or not that court has authority over other courts or other people, who has jurisdiction over whom. So I will tell you that in the state of Oregon, in criminal cases, courts cannot order people as part of their probation to go to Alcoholics Anonymous or to go to Narcotics Anonymous, because in Oregon, Oregon, the Court of Appeals has deemed that those programs are religious, that they're Christian, that they require a belief in a God. And so in Oregon, they don't do that anymore. So I know this because my husband is a judge, and so he goes to the judicial conferences and they all meet and say, you can't order people to go to AA. What you can do is say, go to a recovery support group and get your slip signed, but you can't say which one. And then if people want to go to AA, that's fine, but they can't require that. So whether that's true in your state would be a matter of researching in your state. There is no federal precedent. So that's kind of the answer to that question. And then on the slip question, I was just going to use it for an opportunity to do the governance committee spiel to all of you, which is Sanghas are independent. So if you have an online Sangha and you want a form, make a form. If you want to share it with the community, please send it to us at info@recoverydharma.org, and we'll put it up on the website with all the other resources that we get that come from the community. And if you want the board to create a form or make that available, one, join a committee as a volunteer and ask that we do that, or two, make a motion at this meeting and ask that we do that.
Can we go back to make a motion?
No, you have to wait till next year.
We have a question from online, and I'm going to read it as it is written. Oops, sorry. Hold on. Hold on. Things moved here. Who or is there a resource that ensures that Buddhist principles are prioritized in the works of Recovery Dharma and RDO?
I think we do our best, with the understanding and capacity that we have to do exactly that. All of us on the board come from different levels of practice, different length of time practicing. Some of us call ourselves Buddhists, some of us don't. In many ways, we mirror the community in that regard, right? Because it's Buddhist inspired, but not required. I think that we do our very best to make sure that the teachings that we are putting in the book and providing to local meetings are accurate teachings. So I'm not necessarily certain how to answer that question other than that. And through our bylaws, right, we hold our board of directors to the standards of the precepts. We try to bring our Buddhist practice to everything we do as members of the board of directors and as volunteers for the nonprofit. We try to act skillfully. We try to act within the Eightfold Path. So we're doing the best we can as humans.
And then I just want to make sure that the person said and RDO, Recovery Dharma Online, so to clarify.
So Recovery Dharma Online is an individual Sangha of the Recovery Dharma community. It's not affiliated with Recovery Dharma Global any more than the or the DND or Into the Sunlight or any of the other Sanghas. They're independent, and whatever rules or lack of rules they have or any Buddhist practice they're bringing or not bringing, that's up to them, just as it's up to the people in Albuquerque, the people in Birmingham, and so on. So I can't speak to what they're doing.
And just to say that there's another question about registering, I would just send a message to info@ for any other questions like that.
Yes, info@recoverydharma.org for all questions that you might have. We have some more in the room now.
Thank you.
Hi, B from Iowa City. Thank y'all for putting this on. I love that we're inclusive of all sorts of habit energies that cause any of us suffering. My question is kind of, and this might just be pure ignorance, if there's any element of us that allows for taking care of the suffering of friends and families that's Buddhist inspired. So just from personal experience, like my wife was referred by our counselor to Al-Anon. And it got us thinking, well, what do we have that's an equivalent when we're inclusive of, kind of the fact that for many humans, there's going to be some element of suffering that our rubric could include. But yet there's also this element of suffering that, like in my case, she experiences because of my behavior.
That's an excellent question, and it does exist. If you go to the website and you go to the meeting list and you look at affinity groups, there is a friends and family meeting. Our volunteer, Christine, has done a wonderful job in cultivating that meeting, and I encourage everyone's loved ones who are interested in a program, to look into that because it's a wonderful program. And I know that it's getting full. It's a very popular program. So to the extent that we can create new spaces, more spaces like that, I think that that would be a wonderful part of this next phase of Recovery Dharma community worldwide.
So is there a template then to create more of those if those wanted to be created in person or online?
I think if you talk to our volunteer, Christine, who I can put you in touch with, again, if you email info@recoverydharma.org, I'm sure Christine would be more than happy to explain to you what she's done and give you the resources that she has created.
Awesome.
I'll also put it out there as someone who needs it as well. Anyone who's inspired to write a book about it, please do.
To write a book about Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, I'm being told, online.
I have something I wanted to say, but now I want to say something about that. I am a member of the Al-Anon program. I found Al-Anon and Buddhism at the same time. And so for me, the beauty of this particular program is that we're all at the same table. There's no we, they, us, them, because I may be addicted to trying to fix and help you while you are addicted to being on drugs, and the principles are the same. And the emotions are the same, and the tools are the same, but the story is different. And so I think it's already there. So that's a viewpoint, you know. But one of the things that this, from my perspective, again, I am not a fully knowledgeable Buddhist practitioner, but I do practice Buddhism. And so this program says we are not Buddhism, but we are using the tools of Buddhism. And it does make it a bare bone idea of the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. You even drop the word noble, which is actually part of but you just say the Eightfold Path. That's out of it there. But so what disturbs me, I have a disturbance, and I think I sent an email about this. There is a meeting that offers to give people the precepts, which is the step towards identifying as a Buddhist. And I believe it's the No Mud, No Lotus group, it seems, but someone has offered repeatedly. I stopped going because it troubled me. But the idea that suddenly there's a group that is Buddhist, that if you are offering someone the precepts to take them specifically as you are the teacher, that's my perspective, and I may be wrong, but I felt that it caused confusion, and it caused me confusion when I went to that group, because I really love the idea that this is not claiming to be Buddhism, because then I've got a lot of bones to pick with you. But if it's using Buddhism, then it's fine. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. What you brought up is a very interesting question. What is Recovery Dharma? What is not Recovery Dharma? And those are the type of questions that are debated by members of the board and volunteers and committees. And to the extent that people feel passionately about those questions, I encourage you to volunteer. I can't succinctly or with equanimity answer what you've provided tonight, but it's something for reflection and something that I'd be happy to talk to you about more.
I'm going to, whether you want me or not. This is a great thing about, I'm going off the board. Try to control me now. Okay. So, yeah, they've been able to keep me down, but no more. I am going to say that it is clear in our literature that there are no teachers. And that is one of the principles that our program was founded on, and one of the reasons that our program was founded. And it's in our core intentions. So that's true. But what is also true is that every group is autonomous. So it's very similar if you think about Alcoholics Anonymous. That is a program that is about God. And it is about God as you understand God and turning your will and your life over to God, 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 God. There are a lot of meetings in AA, some of which I attend, that are atheist and agnostic meetings where they don't say the word God. in the meeting. There are meetings where they don't read certain chapters in the book, even though that's part of the AA program, but they say, we're not going to read the chapter to wives because it is horribly sexist and offensive. So it is not the job, in my opinion, this is my opinion as one board member, but my answer to this question is it is not the job of the Recovery Dharma organization, the board of directors, to go out to a meeting and say, you need to stop ABC. That is what they do. We need to make sure that we are consistent because we are the governing body. So we need to follow the rules, but we don't police other Sanghas. If that Sangha wants to do that and those people want to go there, they're reading the book and they can read it just as well as we can and see that they're not consistent with the program of recovery in the book and in the core intentions in terms of not having a teacher.
I absolutely understand what you are saying. My suspicion is I will not go to that meeting and interfere. However, I have in the Al-Anon 12-step program, I have indeed reported a meeting where someone was running the meeting by themselves and was actually acting as a predator. And I went to the meeting a couple times and freaked out. And I reported it, and Al-Anon removed the meeting. So it's not that that doesn't happen, but whether or not something like this rises to that. So absolutely, and I thank you for listening.
Thank you. We have time for one question.
Okay, my question's also about the precepts. I'm Eleanor from PDX. I do host a meeting on the precepts and Buddhist ethics once a week. And I heard you say that in the bylaws, you uphold the board members to the precepts. Did I hear that correctly?
That's correct.
How do you do that?
There's a grievance procedure that is outlined in the bylaws, and the bylaws are available for any member of the community to read on the website, recoverydharma.org. So the idea is that if one of the board members was to violate the precepts, that they would self-report it, hopefully. And if they did not, if someone else reported it, there is a very detailed procedure for how that process would go forward. It's too in-depth for me to answer right now, but I'd be happy to talk about it with you more to the extent you wanted to see what that process looked like and had more questions about it.
Yeah, I would like to talk to you about that because the precepts are kind of vague, so they could be interpreted in a lot of different ways.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Okay.
There's a couple more just to acknowledge people can email you.
Okay, yes. If you have any proposals or questions that you did not get to ask today during this time, if you just would email them to info@recoverydharma.org, we will read them and we will respond to them. And if you're interested in volunteering for any of the committees that you heard about, go to the website, go to the volunteer page. Before we leave tonight, I want to, first of all, recognize the tremendous contribution of the 6 outgoing board members. Each of them have literally given their blood, sweat, and tears, and there were a lot of tears a lot of the time over the last 4 years. Hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of service and generosity to build the foundation and to grow and to protect and to promote Recovery Dharma. And I just want to, I'd love everyone to give it up for them because they've done an amazing job. And Sin Yi as well. Everyone who is here with us, we're going to spend the rest of the weekend not talking about business and cultivating compassion for ourselves and for others, and talking about how to build our communities, how to take what's helped us and share it with others. And I'm so excited to do all of that with you. There's merch at the back table. There is a raffle over here, some beautiful items. The Philadelphia Sanghas have come together to have this tremendous event, and I'm so excited to spend it with all of you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Chris, who is going to do the dedication of merit.
Yay, Philadelphia. Let's give a hand up for Philadelphia. And there will be more books for sale tomorrow if you didn't get one tonight, so. On the last page. Refuge does not arise in a particular place, but in the space within the goodness of our hearts. When this space is imbued with wisdom, respect, and love, we call it Sangha. We hope that the pain of addiction, trauma, and feeling apart actually leads us back towards the heart, and that we might understand compassion, wisdom, and change ever more deeply. As we have learned from practice, great pain does not erase goodness, but in fact informs it. May we make the best use of our practice and whatever freedom arises from our efforts here today. May this be a cause and condition for less suffering and more safety in our world. Thank you.